It is Modi government's 11 years and the conclusion of his first year of its third term today. Looking back, there are many things to highlight, as was done by the Prime Minister himself on his post on Platform X, amongst other things. With the main focus on good governance and transformation, the key points, as mentioned by the Prime Minister, include on your screens right now. This is India's decade of development, economic resurgence at $4.2 trillion GDP. India is on the threshold of becoming the fourth largest economy, surpassing Japan and expected to overtake Germany to be the third largest. Number two, the infrastructural expansion. The national highways expanded from 91,287 kilometers in 2014, that's a decade away, to 1,46,204 kilometers in 2024. And construction speed increased from 12 kilometers per day to 34 kilometers per day. If you look at railways, total of 25,871 route kilometers of new tracks were laid, significantly higher than the 14,985 RKM added in the previous decade. India now leads the world in locomotive manufacturing, producing 1,681 locomotives in 24-25. Number three on your screens, digital governance and the achievement. One of the major success stories of the past decade has been the exponential growth of India's public digital infrastructure. Led by platforms like UPI and Aadhaar, this public-first approach has enabled real-time payments, direct transfers, and expanded rural banking through Jan Dhan and digital access points. Number four, urban expansion. Smart cities mission has continued with over 8,000 projects and investments worth 1.64 lakh crores. Urban transport has also advanced, with the Delhi Metro, for example, expanding into one of the largest and most efficient metro systems globally, setting benchmarks for mass rapid transit in the country, which now reaches 15 Indian cities. That being some of the major achievements, let us now listen into what JP Nadda said on the 11 years of his government.
जो विकसित भारत और विकसित भारत में अमृतकाल और अमृतकाल के लिए जो सेवा, सुशासन और गरीब कल्याण, इस पे जो समर्पित 11 साल प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में कार्य हुआ है, वह स्वर्ण अक्षरों में लिखे जाने वाला कार्य हुआ है. इट शुड बी रिटन इन गोल्डन वर्ड्स, इन गोल्डन लेटर्स. और इसलिए मैं बड़े गर्व के साथ ये कह सकता हूँ कि पिछले 11 साल में मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में चलने वाली सरकार ने भारत की राजनीति की संस्कृति को बदलकर न्यू नॉर्मल, न्यू ऑर्डर को स्थापित किया है.
On the South Indian today, we are asking if Modi's southern surge is still a challenge or, like I said, work in progress. Let's break it down in segments. First, the facts. India's 5 southern states make up for about 30% of India's GDP. On various social indices like education, primary health care and urban-rural development, the South does way better than its northern counterparts. But it is also a fact that there is no other Prime Minister but Modi who has made the maximum number of trips to the South to give the entire endeavour a push. Between May 2014 and April 2024, he made 146 trips. It's all on the screens. He made 73 trips each to these states in his first and second terms. More than one-third of these trips came in the last 3 years, 2022-13, 2023-23 and 2024-23 till April 17. Overall, the share of southern states in domestic trips undertaken by Modi during this period rose from 14% in his first term to 18% in the second. Let's look at his cultural outreach. Ladies and gentlemen, emphasizing on the south of India, it was evident when he installed the iconic Sengol in the new parliament. He eulogized Tamil's ancient legacy by spearheading the Kashi Tamil Sangamam and his various visits to iconic temples in the south. so many temples that he went to. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, you can read all of them. He went to Tirumala. He went to Ranganatha Swami temple. He went to Thrissur. He went to Veerabhadra temple. There is hardly any temple that he missed out. Now, the only way to measure the success of his endeavors is in electoral success. Is Modi's brand of cultural pride and nationalism then alien to the South? Because we know what the results have been. Let me now introduce you to the guest, and then we come back to the rest of the debate. Like I said, we will go segment by segment. Nirmal Abraham, columnist and political analyst, is joining us from Kerala. Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, public policy expert, political analyst, joins us from Tamil Nadu. Vijay Grover, senior journalist and political analyst from Karnataka. And Deepak Reddy, national spokesperson for the TDP in Andhra Pradesh. A very warm welcome to all of you. You know, my first question is about his cultural push, his various trips, him going to several temples. No other prime minister has undertaken so many trips. From 14%, it has increased to 18%. When you talk about Sengol, about Kashi Tamil Sangamam, but it does not translate itself into electoral success. What is the reason? I want to first go to Nirmal and then come to the rest of you.
Well, I think that part of it, the cultural, outreach part of it is done well. But the problem is it is being negated by a couple of other factors. One of the factors is obviously the fiscal discrimination that southern states face, which is a reality. If you look at Kerala, for instance, I can give you 4 or 5 examples right from the top of my head, starting with AIMS. 2014, we requested for an AIMS. We acquired land as the central government suggested us to do. But for 11 years, we've not been sanctioned or approved an AIMS. And the reason for that is we bought land in Calicut, which is a Muslim majority district, where whichever way possible, BJP cannot take credit for it. So they would want it either in Kasaragod or Palakkad or Trivandrum, where their candidate is more likely to win. So it is being delayed. Same applies to Vizhinjam. We requested 5,000 crores in financial aid for an 8,800 crore project. All we got was 800 crore, that too delayed, and that too with a repayment clause. But thankfully, it was the BJP or it was the Prime Minister who inaugurated it. But we felt disappointed that we were not given the recognition or the money, considering the impact and importance of Vizhinjam Port. You just mentioned that the largest container ship came to Vizhinjam. So, considering the security aspect, the strategy aspect, the economic aspect, and the trade aspect associated with Vizhinjam, we expected more from the central government. So there are countless other examples, Silver Line, the Calicut Airport expansion.
No, but,
there are many,
but Nirmal, I want to stop you there because we'll come to the economic packages, etc. That is the second segment. I'm just talking about the cultural outreach. Let's understand that there has always been a wide gap below and above the Vindhyas for lack of any other discrimination. I don't like that Vindhyas below and above, but geographically. For instance, in Kerala, he made an outreach to all the bishops. He went and met them. He went to temples. In Thrissur, we saw, he attended weddings. He went to Guruvayur. It's not worked. I mean, everything has to translate itself ultimately. What is a democracy? Democracy is when it translates into electoral power. How come his outreach to both the minorities and the Christians did not work, Nirmal Abraham? Is it because multi-pluralism, multicultural societies that the South is, much like Kerala, that it has not yielded results? Quickly, and then I go to others.
Yeah, so I would say it's a mixed bag, because as far as the Christian community is concerned, he has been able to make inroads. There has been a slight increase in votes because a lot of Christians, especially Catholics and some other communities, have felt disenfranchised from both the parties, from the UDF and LDF. He's been able to capitalize there. But when it comes to Hindu outreach, specifically to certain castes, I want to mention the castes, he has not been able to do that. And the reason for that is exactly what I mentioned, all the fiscal discrimination, as well as, threatening opposition. When an educated voter, Kerala is one of the most educated states in the country, when they see that the opposition is being either threatened or coerced to submit themselves through ED or IT or CBI, an educated voter understands the trick there. So, which is why it doesn't translate. We like the idea that he's doing cultural outreach. We like the idea that he's a traditionalist and a nationalist, but it somehow doesn't translate because of these reasons as
All
well, I
right.
think.
Okay. Deepak, let me come to you. Deepak Reddy Garu. You know, I want to ask you, look at it. You are in alliance with the BJP in Andhra Pradesh. Everyone said you got the maximum line share so far as the budget is concerned. We'll talk about the budget later, Deepak Garu. Right now, look at it. You are in alliance with the Janasena party. There you have Pawan Kalyan talking about Hindutva, talking about Praishchitta, talking about Diksha. Whereas Chandrababu Naidu is very careful when he's trending. Even about reservation to the Muslims, he is very, very careful. He is very, very careful when you talk about tribals, very careful when you talk about Christians. I want to ask you, Deepak Reddy Garu, is the BJP's concept of cultural nationalism also alien to Andhra Pradesh? Do you think that is a challenge for Mr. Modi, or do you think that is work in progress, Deepak Reddy Garu?
A very good evening, Sudhaji.
Hello.
In fact, Chandrababu Naidu ji was on air the last couple of days talking about Modi ji. And we are really confident about our alliance with the BJP as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned. And we have also said that this alliance is going to be there for the next 15 years plus years. One thing I would like to point out is Andhra Pradesh is going to be a role model for the other southern states as far as development is concerned. Just in this 1 year alone, 98 central government schemes which were not functional during the earlier Jagan's government are now put on track. And the kind of a development activity which is going on is remarkable. It is clear that most of the southern states, so if you have a double engine sarkar, the development would be better. But each of the southern state has their own issues. But now Andhra Pradesh has broken away from the age-old, limitations, and now we are part of the BJP alliance, and we are very confident that this alliance is going to be, put us in
right.
power for quite some time.
All right.
And a couple of other things. Just one other thing. Our neighboring state, Telangana, and if you see Karnataka, if you see the inefficiencies of the Congress government there, the state governments, people are quite fed up, and they are looking for a change. And similarly, the practices what are going on by DMK's, like a family-run enterprise there. The people in Tamil Nadu are quite upset, and Kerala we know. The people had to pay a dear price, and they fell behind in development, falling into the communist trap.
All right. Vijay, I want to come to you, Vijay. You know, Karnataka, the BJP ruled, you know, we had Yadurappa, one of the tallest leaders, then we had Baswaraj Bommai, but they lost the elections very badly. There is, of course, talk about how Dakshina Karnataka, the Hindu laboratory, etc., etc. But the cultural nationalism that we talk about, particularly the way he's done it in Tamil Nadu, because I think he sees Stalin as one of the biggest, I think, challenges. I'll go to Banu later. But I want to ask you, Vijay Grover, despite his numerous visits, despite his temple hoppings, is it a big challenge that Mr. Narendra Modi faces today, Vijay Grover, or do you think he's going to solve it by the time of the next elections?
So the optics is different from intent. And that is something that I can very clearly say that, while visibly you're counting the number of 11 years of Modi, I don't know if you're talking only about Modi or you're talking about the Modi government's achievements. So this is something, where we need to be very clear. As far as the Modi government is concerned, 11 years, let me tell you, as far as Karnataka is concerned or the southern states are concerned, there seems to be no intent culturally to bind the people of the south with north. What we are seeing, on the contrary, in the last 11 years is increased invasion of Hinduism, and the kind of Hindutva that is practiced in North India, that is being imposed in the southern states, including Karnataka. So that is something where you can make even 100 visits, but if it doesn't connect to the people, and when the people are always insecure about the fact that the North Indian invasion, the Hindi invasion is going to be a part and take and uproot your own cultural ethos, there can never be a connect, irrespective of the number of trips. And that is where I feel in the last 11 years, we felt the way Hindi has been imposed. Day before yesterday also, we saw there was a function of Shivraj Chauhan, Agriculture Department. where he gave away some subsidies to the farmers. The entire function, including the boards, the hoardings, the signage, everything was in Hindi. And, none of the farmers could even read or write. And, it made an issue kind of thing. Similarly, in the past, you've seen the bank managers issue where she insisted and, the kind of directives. So unless there is an intent to integrate these outreaches of visiting any number of temples, any number of community outreaches to Christians or others, Muslims, so we don't expect also. But the fact is that this is something where we find it lacking, that in the 11 years the divide between North India and South India has only got bigger.
All right.
It has not made an effort to even synergize the two, or try to learn from the South
right.
and then incorporate the best practices of the South in the North Indian states.
All right, Bhanuchandra Nagarajan, optics is what Vijay Grover is saying. Somewhere, it does not percolate. I mean, even in Karnataka, if you look, whenever there is Kannadiga nationalism, all the parties across the board, they unite. Signage is to be in Kannada, not in Hindi. There the BJP stands with the Congress to say, we are Kannadigas first. Bhanuchandra Nagarajan, talking about Tamil's ancient legacy, talking about the great culture of Tamil, about Thiruvalluvar, about, the Sengol, about Kashi Sangamam, etc., etc. Nothing seems to be working. Do you think, Bhanuchandra Nagarajan, that there is a big curtain when it comes to Tamil Nadu and even other states, even Kerala, that this is a Hindi-speaking party and they will not have our good in their hearts? Bhanuchandra Nagarajan.
Good evening, Sudha.
Hi.
See, we have to understand Prime Minister's background as a pracharak, as an organizer. And it is in his nature to keep looking opportunities to unite people, either under the banner of nationalism or either in the banner of Hindutva or cultural nationalism put together. So all the things that you mentioned before, like the reach out to the Christian community in Kerala, or the use of Sengol, or going to Kanyakumari post the elections, or like reach out to the various mutts in Karnataka, or if you look at social groupings, the Madigas in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana and so on. All of this is under to unite the country under various themes. So we have to understand that society changes in increments. Quantum jumps are wishful thinkings. It doesn't happen. So if you look at all the southern states, BJP is actually in a much stronger position than it was before. It is the principal opposition party in Karnataka. It's a very significant opposition party in Telangana. It is in power as part of NDA in Andhra Pradesh. In Kerala, the vote share is probably going to touch 20 this time, and in Tamil Nadu, it has become double digits. So I think there is significant progress that has been made. But also we have to understand that good governance and national leadership are only a few arrows in
but
the
the
quiver.
thing is that I started this conversation by saying cultural outreach. That doesn't seem to be, it's work in progress. I'm not saying it's a failure, but it's a challenge for him. These are two different worlds, but let's understand at that one time we were one world. Now the difference is we've become so binary that it really becomes a big challenge, despite the Prime Minister trying his level best. Like Vijay Grover said, optics are okay, but the intent is questioned, it's doubtful. Let us now move, ladies and gentlemen, show you the financial packages that Mr. Modi has extended to the southern states. It's all on your screens right now. Now, except for Andhra Pradesh, which is of course in alliance with the BJP in the state, and therefore, according to many experts, received the lion's share in the union budget, the other southern states have been raising the issues of federalism when it comes to several issues now. Of course, the budget allocation they feel has been unfair, but apart from that, there are larger issues: the delimitation, the tax devolution, the Hindi imposition, the national education policy, etc. Will these issues drive a deeper wedge between a BJP-led government at the center and south of India? The BJP's performance in the last Lok Sabha elections on your screens right now, is a ready reference. I mean, after all, like I keep saying, it all depends on whether you can win an election or you cannot, despite all your efforts. Now, if you can't, if you look at, I have this, if you look at 2024, I'll give you an example. The BJP got 17 out of 28 seats. But if you look at the previous year, it was much, much better. So the thing is, it's a real challenge now for the BJP. What happened? After all, everything was done. What happened? It's not just about who is in power. It's about whether Modi's magic, which seems to be working everywhere, particularly in the north, somewhere needs more work in the south. Deepak Reddy. Deepak Reddy Garu, I want to ask you, you got one of the lion's share in the union budget. I mean, there are numbers which talk about it. Of course, Mr. Naidu has also made it very clear that the coffers are running empty. I need more money because of whatever was done in the previous regime. You know, the thing is that a lot of people feel that your alliance has come to fruition and is yielding you results only because your purses have been really filled by the central government. Deepak Reddy.
So let's take it in a positive spirit,
Yes,
Sudhaji.
indeed.
So the other southern states also have to realize probably a double engine sarkar is a better bet rather than going along with somebody who's not in line with BJP. So this is a thought process what the voters can have. But let me be very frank. The kind of an effort what Chandrababu Naidu ji and Lokesh ji has put in to get this funds and get the development running has been tremendous. I'm not sure whether the other state governments of other parts of South are putting in that kind of an efforts. But it's very clear that the schemes are schemes which are equal for all the states. The 98 schemes, what I just talked about, where every state has an allocation based on the population. So if there is a proper effort, yes, they would get that kind of allocation also. But one thing I would like to point out, in the last 75 years, the southern politics has been a little different, where the Congress and well as certain regional parties have played more on regionalism, language to safeguard their vote bank. But now the time has come where the people of the southern states have to realize that, these
Your
things
party,
don't work.
Deepak Reddy,
Yeah.
you also play
Yeah.
on Telugu pride. You play on Andhra pride. That is what federalism is all about. I may speak Tamil. I am an Indian. But ultimately, if I am doing politics and I have to work on that, I also want to, Deepak Reddy, ask you about delimitation. Chandrababu Naidu, even yesterday, today, this morning in Times of India front page, has gone on about having more children. Now, this, you know that you also passed a law and then you've gone back on that law. What is it but trying to safeguard your own seats in the new parliament? You know, the thing is you're in alliance, but Mr. Chandrababu Naidu makes it very clear. He says have more children. Now, of course, it is very difficult. It's not like a snap that, you can suddenly have more children. It's happened over the years that the South actually controlled their, population. Don't you think that that is an issue and a worrisome issue even in Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Deepak Reddy?
Yes, Sudhaji, there are two aspects. One is, yes, Telugu Desam Party was born against the discrimination of the Telugus and against the practices of Congress earlier. But now we don't have that kind of a discriminatory kind of a system anymore. And today Modi ji is not looked at as a North Indian leader, but he's looked at as an Indian leader. He's taking everybody together. So what's important here as far as the delimitation is concerned, if you have noticed, only the TDP hasn't taken part in that that program what Mr. Stalin has promoted. That's not the way how things are done. If he wants something, there has to be a dialogue, there has to be a discussion. But they are putting out politics in a way which is going to be detrimental in the long run, and you're going in a confrontational mode. That's not the way. So I strongly feel that approach has to be discouraged, and we have to go in a constructive manner.
Yeah, but
and if these other states rally behind Chandrababu Naidu ji, you can see results. Because there would be a dialogue and there would be a degree of convincing.
All right, he says
so
there would be a dialogue.
Yeah, that's against the interest of South India.
Right, but then, Vijay Grover, but if you remember, Mr. Amit Shah had very clearly said, what is this bogey of delimitation that is being raised again and again? It will be solved, we'll come to it when it happens. Vijay Grover, don't you think Hindi imposition, delimitation and NEP, these are the big elephants in the room which will drive a deeper wedge even as we go towards assembly elections and later Lok Sabha elections. These are not going to get solved so easily. What do you think?
See, there's a lack of trust in the South. And, especially when I talk about delimitation, we very clearly know that, while the number of seats in the parliament will definitely increase, the percentage of the southern states representation will come down from 26% to 19%. So we are also going to lose our political voice. You can never even imagine that there could be another prime minister from South India who could be ever there, because the dominance of the 5 or 6 Hindi-speaking states will what be visible kind of a thing. Mr. Reddy held out, he said thought process. I say it's a threat process, where he said that, it's better to have an alliance with the BJP if you want more money from the center. So what is he trying to hint? It is not a thought process, it's a threat process. This is not the kind of politics that one wants. You want free speech. You want people to choose their leaders on the basis of the connects that they have over here in the people of South have, like Tamil Nadu has with Stalin, or with thing, or Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan, the kind of governance that he's giving. So just because you are ruled by opposition alliances or opposition parties, that your devolution will be lesser or your revenue shares will be curtailed, that is a question. You put out a graphic of budget allocations of the southern states. I wish also the GST contribution of these southern states was put as a percentage. There you would know how much more the southern states pay and what they get in return. That is a reality which even a layman today realizes, because he sees that development projects get halted. The
Yeah.
Bangalore Metro is a tragedy.
Yes.
It has not got funds for last 3 years, and the project is lingering. And we have big announcements being made every second day that this will be built, that will be built. The budget allocation is made, but the implementation is where we
Much
falter.
like,
That's
yeah,
something which
much
is
like
very
what Nirmal was saying about aims. I mean, the aims in Tamil Nadu is spending. You talk about Bengaluru Metro, which is spending. Nirmal, let me come to you now. Kerala has been saying, and Finance Minister has been saying, that we are at the brink, we need more money. We saw the kind of struggles Kerala had to put up when the Wayanad tragedy happened, about whether the centre will pick up the tabs for this huge tragedy. I want to ask you, Nirmal Ibrahim, don't you think that unless this unfair kind of treatment gets over, and there is a process put for this madness, the wedge between the south and the north is going to get wider and wider? What Vijay said just now, GST. I mean, the south pays, submits the largest chunk, but it gets only this much. Whereas the Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, it's a different story. Nirmal.
I mean, this is exactly what I spoke first, the
Yeah.
fiscal discrimination part. I think that has been evident in every project that we've requested for. The last train, as far as railway budgets go, the last train that we received was in 2023. There has been no mention in the last budget or the budget before that. Even the Silver Line project, when we put it forward, they delayed it for a while and then eventually denied it. So we get it. I mean, it's the same thing that the TDP spokesperson said. I mean, if you are running a double engine government, good for you. That's the perception that they're trying to create. So I think the strategy, if Narendra Modi and BJP has to make inroads in Kerala, their strategy has to change, because we are an educated vote base. We understand the game. So it's better not to, using central agencies to threaten the opposition, delaying central funds. All of these tactics may work in the north. It will not work in the south. That's what he needs to change. But I'm also willing to give him credit where credit is due. I mean, all of the policies that have been strategically designed touches everyone. You're a farmer, a woman, you're a budding entrepreneur. Yes, you have benefits. You get benefited through these schemes, no doubt about it. But to make inroads and to gain sufficient vote share to gain a seat in a place like Kerala, you have to change your strategy.
Right. Let me go to Bhanuchandar Nagarajan. Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, yes, Stalin has been opposing delimitation. He's been asking his people to have more children, much like Mr. Naidu. It's not going to happen like that. I mean, it's a sociological study, and you know this very well. Now, having said that, not only delimitation, he says it's unfair. Even the census which has been announced, he says this is going to be it's going to be a multiple whammy on Tamil Nadu. He's opposed the national education policy, the 3-language policy. He says there is Hindi imposition made every day. But most importantly, he said, because I have opposed the national education policy, the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan funds have not come to me, which means it does not reach the teachers who actually, they are owed to that. They find it vendetta much. Unless, don't you think, as someone who works in public policy, don't you think that unless the roads are cleared and it is not viewed as vendetta and as even keel, the wedge will increase between the BJP-led government at the center and South Indian states. Banu Chandar.
On the fertility issue quickly, Sudha, this is a world over, this has become a problem. We have seen the debates in developed countries as well, and especially Elon Musk has been tweeting quite a bit of it. It's a complex issue. We can discuss it separately, but I'm sure like all of India and all of the world would love more South Indians, especially Tamilians, I guess. But coming to the fiscal aspect of it, I think one of the things that we forget in these debates is that the promises made by the Congress governments, especially in Karnataka during the elections, giving doles after doles. In fact, D.K. Shivkumar went on to say that there is no money to pay salaries. Okay, so this fiscal constraint is now foisted on the central government. And the communist government in Kerala has always been profligate, and the social sector spending is like way too much more than what they actually earn in terms of taxes. So there's that aspect we have to keep in play. Sometimes, like the failings of the state government is foisted on the central government and so on. So that has to be taken into account. And when it comes to new education policy, in fact, I was actually very closely involved in drafting it, except for Tamil Nadu. No other state has any issue with the new education policy, and three-language formula has been universally accepted.
That's not true.
Samagra Shiksha
Kerala has a problem.
because of a conditionality.
That's not true. I'm sorry. Kerala has had a problem. Pinarayi has spoken about it many times. He has. I mean, he may not be as
On
vociferous.
three-language issue?
Yes, on the national education policy, he may not be as vociferous and as detailed as Muka Stalin has been, but it is an issue. Karnataka has not spoken about it. You're absolutely right. But there is a problem, and the problem seems to be of a big daddy syndrome. It's not so much about whether I have to read Sanskrit or Tamil or French or German. It's about you cannot decide for me, and there seems to be an unfair practice. Right? It's about the other states where the three-language policy, hey, it doesn't work. Are they studying Tamil in, let us say, Madhubani in Bihar? They're not.
No, absolutely. Like, I think you hit the nail on the head, Sudha. Like, Tamil Nadu government should make all the efforts to have Tamil teachers available, not just all over India, but all over the world. There's this diaspora that is actually aching for it. So So the thing is, like, nobody says not to read Tamil. Okay, and Tamil should not actually feel happy about not learning something. We are not that. We are supposed to be intellectuals. We are supposed to take pride in knowing something. Not knowing Hindi is like is something that not that we burn as a badge upon.
All right. I'm running out of time. But quickly, is it because that there are no regional satraps when it comes to BJP? We had Yedurappa, very tall leader, but he's aged. Annamalai has been relieved of his main duties. Is that a major problem for Modi to actually accelerate his southern surge? Deepak Reddy, quickly, we know who Pawan Kalyan is, we know who Nara Lokesh is, and we know who Naidu is. But how come, so far as the BJP, local BJP leaders are concerned in Andhra Pradesh, there seems to be a curtain?
Sudhaji, if you see, the politics, what has happened in most of the southern states, including Andhra Pradesh, yes, there has been a severe gap for BJP, but in the last few elections, they have gotten the foothold. Now it is that the foothold should be taken forward into a way where they get a good grip. So as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, the alliance is so strong. So we are sharing everything, all the seats and all that.
Yeah.
So there is no issue in Andhra Pradesh.
There may be no issue. It's about projection. Like we know who Purandeshwari is, but we do not know who it is in Andhra Pradesh. That's my entire thing. Nirmal Abraham, Suresh Gopi, but we know the ups and downs. We know that, that the BJP is on a kind of, a mode where it wants to reinvent itself, get more women in, get more minorities in. But do you think there is one monolithic name which will stand up and say, hey, this is BJP in Kerala? Do you think that's a major, major problem?
It is a major problem, but I think a small stride that BJP has made in that regard is appointing Rajiv Chandrasekhar as the president of BJP in Kerala. That, I think, would benefit them slightly, although I still don't think it's a name as big as the ones that you mentioned. But Rajiv is considered
yes.
in order to the Shashi Tharoor in Kerala. So
Right.
a lot of people would admire him for that, but it's not to the level of the other leaders.
I like it, Nirmal, when you say he's considered to be the Shashi Tharoor of Kerala. So that says a lot. But anyway, that was a joke. Vijay Grover, even in the BJP, Vijendra is not at all, what his father was. Do you think there is a big gap there? There's a crater when it comes to a regional leader who can stand tall and say, I will govern you.
Unfortunately, no. We're not seeing anyone who could replace Yediyurappa. And even in 2014, when the NDA came to power, at that time also I had written that, BJP's victory in Karnataka was not due to Modi, it was due to Yediyurappa. And that was something that I had written in Telka at that time. And I had credited Yediyurappa for what the BJP is in Karnataka. And, unfortunately, many of their own party leaders forget the fact that, and they try to, cut down Vijendra to size or
Yeah, we've
Yediyurappa
seen the drama with,
party.
we've seen the drama, the way it has continued. Bhanuchandar, Nagendran is not Annamalai.
Yeah, so national leadership and policies and programs that you just spoke about are only two arrows in the quiver, like the local leadership, the local organization, the backing community, the social structure of the state, all
Right.
of this matters. And